Welcome to Paranoia Unveiled. Today we are going to discuss about the intriguing theory that Paul McCartney, yes, the legendary Beatle, was replaced by a look-alike. This theory, believe it or not, has its roots firmly planted in the tumultuous soil of the late 1960s, a time of change, a time of revolution, a time when the Beatles were at the height of their popularity. The story begins with a rumor, a whisper that quickly grew into a roar, that Paul McCartney had tragically died in a car crash. The supposed date? November 9, 1966. Now where did this rumor come from? Well, like any good conspiracy, the origins are murky. Some say it was a radio DJ who first mentioned it on air. Others claim it was the result of misinterpreted lyrics or cryptic messages hidden in the Beatles' music. But the fact remains, the rumor spread like wildfire, fueling the imaginations of fans and conspiracy theorists alike. The theory suggests that the Beatles, in a desperate attempt to maintain their popularity and keep the band intact, replaced Paul with a look-alike. A man who not only resembled Paul but could also mimic his voice and musical talent. The transition, they say, was so seamless that the public never suspected a thing. But why would the Beatles or their management go to such lengths to cover up a tragedy? Well, those who subscribe to this theory believe that the truth would have been too much for the fans to handle. That the shock of losing one of the Fab Four would have caused a global crisis of unprecedented proportions. And so, the legend of the Paul is dead conspiracy was born, a tale spun from whispers, rumors, and supposed clues hidden in plain sight. This theory, as wild as it sounds, has persisted for decades, with believers pointing to various clues as proof. So, was Paul McCartney really replaced by a look-alike after a fatal car crash? Or is this just another Beatles myth? A product of the chaotic and creative energy of the 1960s? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this captivating conspiracy. Thanks for watching Paranoia Unveiled. Like and share, subscribe for more videos. Have a nice day. Now let's delve into the clues that have kept this theory alive for so long. The Beatles, known for their creative genius and cryptic lyrics, have inadvertently provided fodder for this conspiracy theory. One of the most cited pieces of evidence is the song "A Day in the Life." The lyrics, "He blew his mind out in a car, he didn't notice that the lights had changed," have been interpreted by theorists as a cryptic message about McCartney's supposed death in a car accident. Then there's Revolution 9. This track from the White Album is an 8-minute soundscape that theorists believe hides a message. When played backward, some claim to hear the phrase, "Turn me on, dead man," which they take as a posthumous shout-out from the real McCartney. However, it's not just the lyrics that theorists latch onto. The album covers themselves are seen as a treasure trove of hidden clues. Take Abbey Road, for example. The iconic cover features the four Beatles crossing the street. McCartney is out of step with the others, barefoot, and holding a cigarette in his right hand, even though he was known to be left-handed. Conspiracy theorists interpret this as a funeral procession, with McCartney's barefoot walk symbolizing a corpse, and his right-handed cigarette as a sign of his doppelganger's slip-up. The Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band cover is another point of contention. Theorists suggest that the entire scene is a symbolic funeral for McCartney. They point to the yellow flowers arranged in a left-handed bass guitar shape, McCartney's instrument of choice, and the doll in the right corner wearing a driving glove, supposedly signifying the car accident. Even the inside sleeve of the Sgt. Pepper album is scrutinized. McCartney is shown with a hand over his head, a gesture that some cultures consider a death omen. The back cover further feeds the theory, with McCartney being the only Beatle with his back to the camera, another alleged sign of his death. The Magical Mystery Tour album also has its share of clues. In the booklet, one photo shows McCartney sitting at a desk with a sign reading, "I was." Theorists suggest this is McCartney's own admission of his death. These clues, though often explained away by the Beatles themselves, have continued to fuel speculation and debate. The Beatles' creative choices, whether intentional or not, have led to one of the most enduring conspiracy theories in music history. Their cryptic lyrics, unusual album art, and penchant for mystery have allowed this theory to persist, despite all logical explanations to the contrary. As we dive deeper into this theory, remember to keep an open mind. After all, as the Beatles themselves said, "Living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see." Thanks for watching Paranoia Unveiled. Like and share, subscribe for more videos. Have a nice day. Meet Fall, the supposed imposter who replaced Paul McCartney. In the heart of this mind-bending conspiracy, we find ourselves face to face with a character named Billy Shears, who theorists believe took over Paul's life after his supposed death in 1966. Paul, a clever contraction of fake Paul, is said to be the man we've all been watching perform on stage, record in studios, and live Paul McCartney's life for over 5 decades. Now, you might be wondering, how could this be possible? How could a world-renowned musician be replaced without anyone noticing? Well, theorists argue there are noticeable differences between the pre-1966 Paul and the post-1966 Paul. From physical characteristics to vocal nuances, they claim the changes are there if you look closely enough. Some point to the supposed height difference, arguing that Paul is taller than the original Paul. Others draw attention to differences in the shape of the ears or the curve of the nose. But it's not just the physical differences that theorists highlight. They also point to changes in Paul's musical style and his handwriting. They argue that the complexity of Paul's bass lines changed dramatically after 1966, suggesting that a more skilled musician took his place. Similarly, handwriting experts have reportedly found differences in Paul's autographs before and after the alleged switch. This theory has persisted for years, despite the Beatles' adamant denials and the lack of irrefutable evidence. Skeptics argue that the supposed differences can be explained by natural changes in appearance and artistic evolution over time. After all, people do age, and artists do experiment with their style. Yet believers in this theory remain steadfast. They continue to dissect Beatles songs and albums, hunting for hidden messages and clues. They scour photos for discrepancies in Paul's appearance, convinced that the man we know as Paul McCartney is, in fact, Paul. Despite the Beatles' denials and the lack of solid evidence, believers in this theory remain convinced of Paul's existence. But what does the evidence really say about this theory? When we delve into the evidence, or rather the lack thereof, we find that the Paul McCartney replacement theory begins to crumble. Many experts have taken a close look at this theory, and the Beatles themselves have addressed it, all reaching the same conclusion. There is no truth to the rumor that Paul McCartney was replaced by a look-alike. Let's start with the so-called clues. These are often subtle references or hidden messages in the Beatles' album art and lyrics that theorists believe point to Paul's untimely demise and subsequent replacement. However, these have been thoroughly debunked. The Beatles and their producers have explained time and again that these clues are nothing more than coincidences, artistic choices, or even in-jokes among the band members. They were never intended to be hints at a dark secret. What about the car crash that supposedly took Paul's life? Well, there's no evidence for that either. No police reports, no news articles, nothing. The story of the fatal accident appears to be entirely fabricated. And the man at the heart of the theory, Paul McCartney himself, has repeatedly denied it, even joking about it in interviews. If he really were an imposter, he's certainly playing the long game. And speaking of the imposter, the man known as Paul, there's no proof of his existence either. Despite claims that Paul looks and sings slightly different to Paul, forensic experts have shown that any perceived differences can be attributed to natural aging and changes in style, not to a completely different person. The Paul McCartney replacement theory is a fascinating tale, full of intrigue and mystery, but when we examine the evidence, it becomes clear that it's just that, a tale. A story spun from a few coincidences and a lot of imagination. Though the theory has been debunked many times over, it remains one of the most enduring conspiracy theories in pop culture. So, after all is said and done, where does this leave us with the Paul McCartney replacement theory? We've combed through the inception of an idea that suggests the beloved Beatle, Paul McCartney, was replaced by a look-alike. We've scrutinized the so-called clues, hidden messages in songs, album covers riddled with symbolism, and even physical changes in McCartney's appearance. We've delved deep into the persona of Paul, the alleged imposter who supposedly took McCartney's place. We've also critically examined and debunked the purported evidence, showing how easy it is for us to see what we want to see, especially when conspiracy theories are involved. Despite the lack of concrete proof, the fascination with this theory persists. It's a testament to our collective love for mystery, intrigue, and the Beatles themselves. Whether you believe in Paul or not, one thing is clear. This theory, like the Beatles themselves, is here to stay. Thanks for watching Paranoia Unveiled. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Have a nice day.